I'm joined once again by Dan Lambert, the man who is managing Colby Covington and also is the man behind American Top Team. Dan, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I like the positivity because I know there's been a lot of negative stuff going on, unfortunately. We'll get to that in a second, but first, let's start with some positive news. It was so cool getting to see you in the cage at UFC 232, going in there and getting to congratulate Amanada Nunes on her historic title win. Take me back to that moment. How cool was that as just someone who's been with her for a very long time?
Man, that was big. You don't get a lot bigger than a champ moment, you know? She's come a long way, worked really hard, and to take down, a mythological figure like Cyborg that's almost like, surreal. So the not only just accomplishing what she accomplished, but the way she accomplished it, it was pretty cool.
I bet. How did that boost? I know the team's huge, but everyone I've talked to from American Top Team just says how inspiring that was. Have you noticed a change in the gym just with her winning and sort of that momentum, sort of leading to other people?
Winning begets winning. You really want the mojo's real. And when things are going good, things go good. We have periods in our time when it seems like we can't win a fight, can't get a close decision, nothing goes your way, and then you got other times where everything seems to go right. I mean, that weekend alone, Amanda did what Amanda did. We won 3 PFL tourneys. 3 guys won $1 million. Kayla Harrison kept on her roll at the PFL, and Kyoji Horiguchi beat the Bellator champ Darren Caldwell over in Ryzen on their year-end show. So I mean, we had a hell of a year that weekend.
Yes,
so,
you did. Nice way to end the year.
It's a good ride. And next day, Amanda's back. She's in the gym. Everybody's going crazy for her. And today, she was in the gym training, helping someone who trained her for her camp. So it's a good vibe.
How do you think Amanda would do in pro wrestling? Forget about the entertainment side of it, but just technically, how do you think she would do if she ever wanted to go into that world?
From an athletic standpoint or a technical standpoint, she's amazing. She may be the best athlete I've seen come through our gym outside of Yoel Romero. I mean, the way she moves, it's hard to really get a feel for it just watching her fight because fights are so limited. There's only so much going on. But if you get a chance to come down to our gym and watch her train, watch her do her strength and conditioning, watch her drill takedowns, watch her kick pads, watch her hit pads, watch her spar, it's just, man, she's on another level.
We didn't talk that long ago when we did our last interview, but so much has happened since then. And the last time we talked, you had mentioned that the UFC had a plan in place to have Colby Covington fight Tyron Woodley for the welterweight title. It seemed like a no-brainer. And of course, since then, now they canceled the card, and Tyron Woodley is now fighting Kamaru Usman at UFC 235. So take me to that moment when we talked to now. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much a done deal until it wasn't. I mean, it's a crazy world out there sometimes, and I'm not going to pretend I know how to do. Oops, sorry about that.
No worries. I think I still got you.
I'm not going to pretend I know Dana White's job better than Dana or the matchmakers or what they're doing. I don't. That's not what we do. We train fighters and get them ready to fight. It defies logic to me. I mean, you have a fight that the fighters want. Seems like that's the fight the fans want. You have the champion, the guy who is or was the interim champion, depending on who you ask. They both want it. There's some bad blood there. There's a backstory with them both training together in the past. I don't know. Didn't fit the UFC's narrative at that particular time. I guess there's a couple reasons they're throwing around as to why it may have gone down like that. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. What are you going to do?
Well, a couple things about that. I had heard that I guess so kind of where there's some confusion is I think that, Woodley and Colby wanted the fight. Now, I don't know if Woodley couldn't fight then and that's why they had to move it to March. But I know there was a fight offered between Kamaru Usman and Colby. But here's the thing, and I agree with Colby on this when I talked to him on Monday. He's the interim champion. Why would he take a fight against not Tyron Woodley? Like, you built up to this point. You have this storyline. You have everything in line. There's no upside for Colby to take that fight with Kamaru. And it seems to me like because that fight didn't take place, the card got canceled, and now they're sort of punishing him. Is that kind of the sense you're getting from the UFC?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of what happened. I mean, Colby, he had the surgery and couldn't make that September fight, but he was available to fight in October. He was available to fight in November. They wanted to do him and T Wood in November, but T Wood was injured in the Till fight. They offered Colby one other fight against the big name in that November show that made sense, and he accepted that, and that didn't come through. They offered him the Woodley fight in January, which he agreed to. Woodley had the injury. I mean, hey, sometimes when you fight, you get hurt. He hurt his finger. He's not going to go into that fight unless he's 100%. So, a few weeks prior, they told Colby, sorry, Woodley can't do it, but we'd like you to fight Usman on a week earlier, and the winner will fight Woodley on March 2nd, which is like 6 weeks later. And that math doesn't make sense. And, of course, Usman, of course he wanted to do the fight. I mean, who doesn't want? Everybody ranked lower wants to jump the guy ahead of him. George Clooney would have done a hemorrhoid commercial at one point in his career. I mean, when he was an unknown, sure, of course. But Colby wasn't willing to do that fight. He says, I'd rather wait 6 weeks and fight the champ. And I guess their position was, well, since you didn't take the fight when we needed it, we're going to go ahead and give the guy the fight that agreed to it. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of silly. Doesn't really make sense. The math doesn't equate in my mind. I thought maybe there was something else I was missing, but apparently I wasn't. I mean, Colby's reasoning in not wanting to fight Usman prior to fighting Woodley is the same excuse Usman gave for not wanting to fight Ben Askren when Askren called him out. You're ranked underneath me. I'm looking ahead. I mean, and I get it. I agree with Usman. He's saying the right thing, but not his fault. He's won his fights and put himself in a position where things fell his way. He got a title shot, so now he's got the title shot. So I guess we'll see how he does with T Wood, and Colby will sit back and see how the pieces fall.
Yeah, and we'll talk about what's next for Colby in a second, because there's a lot of things I want to ask you. But when was the last time you spoke with Dana White, and how would you describe your relationship with him right now?
I saw Dana out at the show. We did not talk about the Colby T Wood Usman situation. There was other stuff going on out there. There's other people in the company that handle a lot of those negotiations. Hunter Campbell's handling a lot of the bigger fights now, and I've talked to him many times in the last several weeks over the situation. I mean, it's not something we're happy about, but it's not our call. At the end of the day, it's their company. They're going to make the calls, and they're going to do what they got to do, and we're going to do what we got to do. I know one thing. Colby, tell Colby to jump. He's not asking how high. He's pretty set in his ways, and he's not going to just be a company guy. And if he doesn't get what he wants, he's going to speak his mind. And you mentioned Darren Till earlier, and that you heard something about a fight with him. Colby doesn't want to fight Darren Till unless he's fighting him for a title or defending his title against Till, or if he got his title shot and something didn't go his way, then you got to fight your way back up to there. And if Till's a guy he had to fight to get there, I mean, Colby was willing to fight anybody to get up to his title shot. He was willing to go to Brazil and fight RDA in Brazil amongst death threats and whatnot. He went down and fought Damian Maia down there for not big money. He thought he paid his dues to get what he deserved, and when he got there, it got snatched away. Personally, I thought he got a bum deal. But it is what it is, but these things always have a way of working themselves out.
And just to be clear, and you sort of said it there, but Colby, I mean, a fight with Darren Till just doesn't make sense from your perspective at this point. And not just that you'd have to fight in London, where, I mean, we had a decision last year, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Darren Till, that I think people thought could have gone the other way. That's another risk too. I mean, again, no upside for Colby taking that fight.
I mean, I don't think London has anything to do with it. Like I said, he's willing to go to Brazil to fight RDA. I mean, that fight didn't happen because the UFC was concerned for his security. He said, fuck it, I'll go. It's their job to protect me. It's my job to go in the cage and win. So I don't think that's it in any way, shape, or form. He worked his way up to a title fight. He wants his title fight. I don't blame him one bit.
Right. So he won't fight Till most likely. And then also, I guess the plan is to just wait for the winner of Usman and Woodley, and hopefully it's Woodley. And then you still have that storyline. You still have that matchup. I guess that's sort of what you guys are angling for right now, the two of you.
I think that's a best case scenario. That's what I'd like to see happen.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Colby did the media rounds on Monday. I was fortunate enough to talk to him again. Always good stuff. Very honest with me. Obviously Colby has his personality, but he was really serious about what happened. And, he was pissed off about everything that sort of transpired. Are you worried at all that some of the stuff he said, I mean, he says a lot of stuff, which I know gets himself in trouble, but do you feel like the fact he was going directly at the UFC, that you're worried that he might not get a shot at the winner of Usman and Woodley?
I don't think it's the first time Dana's been called an asshole by somebody. It's probably not the last.
Right.
Dana's a big boy with some thick skin. I don't think he gives a shit what people say about him. He wants people that win fights, and put themselves in the right position. That's what I thought Colby had done. Apparently he hadn't done so in their eyes. Right place, right time. We'll see how it goes. I don't really know how it'll play out. I couldn't guarantee you that Colby's going to get the next title shot, that Colby's going to fight somebody else, that Colby's going to end up looking for a job somewhere else. I could see it playing out any of those ways. I don't know, but I know one thing. When Colby says, fuck it, I want my title shot, or I'm not doing shit, fuck them, Colby means it.
Yeah, no, he certainly does, and that was going to be my next question. I mean, if this doesn't play out, the way it should, which is that Colby should, get the winner of that fight. Do you see him trying to leave the UFC and go, elsewhere? Because I don't imagine the UFC would want to release him. His stock, whether people love him or hate him, is still a big stock.
I mean, I think Colby's got a good position to be in because he's made himself relevant. He's made people either like him or dislike him, and that's kind of the frustrating part because the UFC wants people to build themselves into that position. It'd be nice to just say, hey, we're the fighters, you're the promoters, it's your job to get us over, not our jobs. But we all know that's not the case. They want fighters to do something outside the box and get their name out there and promote themselves. And Colby felt as though he did that and put himself into a position for a particular fight, and then he still didn't get the fight. So it's frustrating on his side. I think his position is, I got nothing to lose. Whether, if I go fight there, if I go fight somewhere else, I'm happy to go do whatever I got to do. I'm just not going to go fight somebody in a lower position than I am right now when I've earned my title shot. And if they don't like it, I don't think he cares.
So we hear that Raw might be coming back to Florida. I haven't checked the schedule lately, but I know Colby mentioned there might be a show coming up. I guess the plan is for the two of you to go again like you did last time?
Oh, well, Bobby Lashley's in Raw, and he's a good buddy of ours, and I'd love to go see him. And Colby's got a big interest in doing something down the road with the WWE. So, I mean, shit, I'll go to wrestling for any reason. You don't have to twist my arm to get me to go to wrestling. So if they come down, we'll be there.
Yeah, well, and I know you guys do the backstage stuff too, get a little bit of extra access, which is good. And again, I know Bobby helps that out. How often do you talk to Bobby? Obviously he's very busy with the WWE stuff, but do you guys talk regularly?
Yeah, he's all over the place, but, texting's easy and quick, so we talk all the time.
That's good. Colby says he wants to be a tag team partner with Ronda Rousey because, obviously she's going through, some feuds of her own in the wrestling thing. Is that something you'd like to see?
Oh, man. I don't want to see anything wrestling related. I love it. I think Colby do a great job over there. And I got to tell you, I'm blown away with how Ronda Rousey's done in the ring with the level of her experience and how long she's been at it. I mean, you talk about taking something like a fish to water. It's like, I don't think I've seen someone come out the gates like that since Kurt Angle, and he had the benefit of some developmental time that she didn't. So I couldn't be more impressed by what she's done since she got there.
Do you talk to Ronda at all? Because I know Colby, he says he talks to her a little bit, and I know even on Instagram, I think they, kind of, talk here and there. But that's what I found interesting is that Colby still sort of keeps tabs on her, and they have that, obviously the shared interest in pro wrestling.
No, I don't have a relationship with Ronda. I don't know her. I met her at Raw. She was very nice and cordial, and talked briefly about the business and MMA. But I'm just a fan.
And as far as Bobby, has he mentioned any of his plans like further in wrestling? And I guess he just wants to stay in wrestling, no more MMA for him.
I'd be surprised if Bobby got back in MMA. I think it would have to be because something didn't go well on the WWE side. Bobby's an athletic guy, and Bobby's got some talent. He could still win fights, and he's in a division where, it's not the deepest division in the world, fighting other heavyweights. There's a lot of guys Bobby Lashley could beat, especially if he focused on it full time. But I think he'll probably stay where he is.
Speaking of heavyweights in pro wrestling and MMA, Jack Swagger, a.k.a. Jake Hager, is going to be making his Bellator debut in a few weeks. Are you going to be tuning in for that? What are your thoughts on his transition? Because he has an NCAA background.
He does, and he's a little older, which won't make it any easier on him. I don't know what kind of background he has other than wrestling and where his MMA development has gone. A big, strong, athletic guy. It used to be back in the older days where if you could pick your genre of a fighter to develop from. You'd say, give me a wrestler. They're tough, they're strong, they're good at cutting weight. They can dictate where the fight goes. Nowadays it's more like give me an athlete and we'll build him from there. It's like the better athletes have such an advantage over everybody else. He was an athletic guy with a wrestling base. I mean, maybe he does well. Who knows? But fighting's not for everybody. Sometimes you can spend all your time in the world trying to figure out this guy's going to do this or this guy's going to do that, and then they go in there and they get punched in the face, and it's not for everybody. So it'll be exciting to see him come in there. I'll be rooting for him.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be at that card. I'm looking forward to seeing him, perform in his debut. When you were at Impact, were there any wrestlers that you saw that you felt could have made that transition to MMA? No, like you said, it's not for everyone, but was there anyone you sort of identified where you're like, hey, I'd be interested to see how they do in the cage?
No, I really didn't look at it from that perspective, and I don't know what those guys' backgrounds is. It's such a different occupation, I mean, it takes trust me, you got to be tough. A lot of our guys that went to Impact with me, they were in the back watching these matches, and they said, holy shit, I'd rather fight in a 20-man, one night only tournament than go and do what these guys are doing. These guys are out of their fucking minds. They're crazy. Look at the beating they're taking. They're tough guys, and they're athletic guys, and they're skilled guys. But, fighting's a whole different world. So, I'm sure there's certain elements that would make somebody a good professional wrestler that may also make somebody a good fighter. But until you actually see them do it, who the hell knows?
Just a couple more quick housekeeping notes on AKA. Last time we talked about Dustin Poirier, I know you mentioned he was getting back in the gym. I guess he's been training for the last little bit. How long has he been back in the gym?
He's been back for a couple of weeks, and he was there for a stint before that. So he's been back on 2 separate occasions since that fight fell through, and he went and had some therapy. Dustin's always in shape. The guy's he works hard, and Dustin's got an incredible gas tank as a result. So I think he'd be ready sooner rather than later. They're probably waiting to figure out what happens with Conor and Khabib and their standing with the commissions. And I would imagine that hearing's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And once that's done, I'm sure Dustin will hear from the UFC and what's next for him right away.
And last question, we talked about Amanda Nunes off the top. Any plans for her to, like as far as what's next, is the plan to go back down to 35 and defend that belt, or is it to, try her hand at 45 again and defend that title? Do you have any idea of what her plans are?
I'd like her to defend both. I mean, 2 people before have had both titles. Nobody's defended both of them. She probably has a little bit of a better opportunity to do so because the women's divisions aren't as deep as some of those guys' divisions are with as many contenders. And I mean, there's not even a rankings in the 45 division. So she'd probably put that belt on ice, move down. Probably makes the most sense to fight at 35 next because there are some contenders that are, ready, willing, and able. Maybe go defend that belt once and then see if there's anybody available at 145. I'd love to see her defend both. I think she'd like to defend both.
Yeah, and with the fact that 45 is still a new division, she really could get away with it. It's not like she's holding anything up because there's not really anyone in that whole what happened with Megan Anderson. That sort of ruined things because you figured the winner of that fight would have fought. But I think they need to run that back with Anderson and Zingano. But you never know. Any idea when Nunes is looking to fight next? And same with Poirier. I guess Poirier is ready to fight now.
Dustin's in the gym, so I don't think the holdup's on his side in any way, shape, or form. I think it's just what's going on at the very top of that division with the commissions. Amanda, like I said, she was in the gym this morning helping out a training partner who helped her out for her fight. So, and making weight for men is not a problem in either one of those divisions. She had a death in her family. She's going to go back to Brazil, I think right after the Brooklyn card. She had some commitments for that, and then she's going to go to Brazil and be with her family and spend some time. And she'll be ready probably right around the middle of the year.
Well, we're looking forward to it. And Dan, I can't thank you enough, man. It's always good talking to you. Appreciate the time as always. If there's anything you want to plug, any thank yous you want to give, the floor is yours, sir.
Nope. Just want to thank all the fighters that are coming to our gym and our coaches are putting in the work every day. And we had a hell of a year, and hopefully we can continue that into this one.